Okay, I now invite our beloved Jerry Blackburn to come forward to light the chalice and lead us in our affirmation of covenant, which is printed in your order of service.
I think we have a new microphone. Please join me in saying our affirmation of covenant, saying, love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is the sacrament, and covenant is prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca Retzel, and standing in as a guest at the Worship Arts team today. I probably shouldn't have even put the word Irish before the reflections. I am not Irish. I'm not an Irish scholar, but I am here to talk about things related to the holiday tomorrow, which is... Okay, we're paying attention. That's good. This first reflection is a little bit about this holiday, and I give thanks to Abby O'Leary, Jill Gleason, and Jordan Green for their contributions to this information. So, St. Patrick's Day is a feast day for St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. During the 5th century, St. Patrick, born in Roman Britain, was brought to Ireland as a slave. As an older man, having escaped captivity, he returned to Ireland as a missionary. And he was successful in his efforts to transition Ireland from paganism to Christianity, for the most part. He's depicted as driving the snakes out of Ireland. However, you might be surprised to learn that the patron saint and national apostle of Ireland was never actually canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church. This lack of official sainthood is because there was no formal canonization process in the 400s. Calling him Saint Patrick was likely to have caught on and stuck over time due to his popularity. So for centuries, St. Patrick's Day was a deeply religious holiday. Irish Christians honored it by going to church during the day and celebrating in the evening because they were allowed to break Lent, to feast and drink and dance in his honor. It is celebrated on March 17th to honor St. Patrick's death date, and that's how it was for hundreds of years. The identity of St. Patrick's Day changed in the 17th and 18th centuries as America began to be colonized and the traditions and rituals were brought over the pond. In the early 17th century, secular celebrations began in the United States in an effort made by the early Irish Americans to recognize their roots and their heritage. It's believed that the first St. Patrick's Day parade, though not the raucous occasion we know today, took place in 1601 in St. Augustine, Florida, because their Spanish colony had an Irish vicar. As increasing numbers of Irish immigrants came to the United States during the late 18th and early 19th centuries, Irish national spirit and pride spread through our American culture. Foundations established for Irish aid helped to institute regular traditions to commemorate Irish culture. These early Irish Americans, however, came from Protestant middle-class backgrounds, and for the most part, their recognition of Irish culture remained secular and tame. it was not until the Great Potato Famine of 1848 that over 1 million Catholic Irish immigrants flooded into the United States. This influx was demonized in American culture, and St. Patrick's Day was depicted as a day that these immigrants became drunk and violent. However, as their numbers of immigrants rose, so did their unity. They realized that joined together, they held an untapped political power known as the Green Machine, which became a large voting bloc that had considerable influence in important swing votes. Through this cultural bonding and rise to power, St. Patrick's Day became a holiday to celebrate Irish strength and pride. Research says that it was not until 1903 that St. Patrick's Day became a public holiday in Ireland, expanding their religious celebration into the secular realm. Today, St. Patrick's Day remains a secular holiday in the United States and many other countries across the world, which, of course, as we know, is known for its parades and partying, attracting millions of people to cities across the country with shamrocks and green and leprechauns. It's a common belief that the timing of this initial Christian holiday was not by chance. That week was already celebrated by pagans and Druids in Ireland, because the timing often aligns with the pagan holiday Ostara, but it almost perfectly aligns with the spring equinox, when pagans celebrate nature's rebirth and balance of the universe, when both night and day are of equal length. So many of our mainstream holidays have roots in unexpected places and have evolved drastically over time. With unclear origins and heavy commercial influences, the choices we have to interact with holidays, such as St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, even Mother's Day, they are quite varied. I don't think any of these holidays are going away. So, what do we do? How will you celebrate tomorrow? How should we celebrate? And does it matter? What could we do to lift up the parts of St. Patrick's Day which bring us closer to the world we want to live in? There is goodness encased in this long-standing tradition. There is joy and community and diversity and change and influence ever flowing in that green river. So how can St. Patrick's Day be a meaningful part of our journey? I invite you to reflect for a moment on which parts of it you will choose to illuminate. Part 2. Okay, so there is this saying about the month of March, that it comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. Have you heard this before? You're going to hear it about 16 more times, so I'm glad you're familiar with it. And March weather certainly feels like it's taking these cues so far. But this month, spurred by the fabulous Cups events we've had over the winter months, I have been taking a dive into Celtic mythology and Irish folklore. I am by no means an expert, and I am not about to attempt to introduce you to the cast of characters involved. Irish mythology is a rich and complex, huge thing with lots of different Celtic gods and goddesses. The Celtic people were polytheistic, meaning that they worshipped multiple gods. In fact, I think they worshipped more than 300 gods. We know about many of these from sources that date back to Celtic times. a lot of Christian writings that captured them, but we have statues and ancient places of worship and engravings and place names and personal names. Each of the gods worshipped by the Celtic people are linked to different aspects of life in the world around them. Diving into these stories and the biographies of these gods and goddesses has been intense. It is difficult to keep on top of the different characters with names and places that I cannot even try to pronounce. I've been to Ireland. I've driven in Ireland. Some of those road signs are not meant for the average American. The study of Celtic mythology came in like a lion. I was most fascinated by the Morrigan, though traditional Gaelic pronunciation, which favors silent letters, would address this goddess as the Morrigan. She is the goddess of war and death, and at first glance, the pictures and images and graphic tales, she comes in like a lion. But the deeper you go, the more you learn about the complex personalities of these gods and goddesses. Morrigan is very calculated, with long-term prophetic thinking. She is a shapeshifter who is actually the beauty of the earth. She is not chaos. She controls and influences it for the good of all and for the earth. She incites and inspires those around her to rise up, in like a lion, but out like a lamb, even when her presence is delivering the news of certain death. Somehow, there is a balance. Morrigan is as many parts life as she is death. Celtic deities are as many parts dark and destruction as they are light and beauty. So while my study began like a lion, it's starting to set in like a lamb. If I had been quick to judge this darkness, this destruction, pictured as Morrigan's most featured self, I would have missed the point, missed her foundation, missed her ultimate intentions for our world. If we judge the month of March only on its inconsistent temperatures and the wind, the storms, the allergies, we would miss the thawing of the ground and the deep drinks that it takes, the buds on the trees and the bulbs breaking through the ground. This saying, in like a lion, out like a lamb, actually speaks of necessity as well as balance. For me, the Morrigan in Celtic mythology reminds me of Shiva, a major deity in Hinduism, which is revered as the goddess of destruction and transformation, which is a necessary step for creation and renewal. I invite you to pause for just a moment. Close your eyes and breathe out. What is coming at you like a lion right now? How can you usher it out as a lamb? It's possible that some of you just thought about the political climate in our country, because we are in a culture war. There is a time to show up like lions, like Morrigan, not with reckless abandon or disrespect, but steadiness and vision and balance to control the chaos, to influence the outcomes, to incite the fight that will be necessary to see this work through. But in a culture war, we cannot just show up like lions. there are times when we have to be seen and heard as lambs. Later this week, we will observe the spring equinox, one of 2 times yearly that the sun rises due east and sets due west for everyone on the earth. Let this upcoming equinox, this day with the ultimate balance of light and dark, be a reminder in our lives, not just as a time of rebirth and renewal, but of balance. Know how to lean lion, or lean lamb, or hold true. And may we be open to the diversity our community can offer us to help us inform those choices. May it be so. All right. And I invite Jerry Blackburn to come and extinguish our chalice. Please join me in our closing words. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person, evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. And as you find a seat, I invite our choir to come forward to offer up today's benediction to send us into St. Patrick's Day and the spring equinox ahead.